Hello, and thank you for joining us on the Stay Healthy Knoxville podcast, brought to you by Simply Physio, aimed at helping you live an enjoyable, fit, and healthy life in and around our community of Knoxville, Tennessee. And now, here is your host, Dr. John Mark Chesney.
I'm honored and super excited to have on the show today Kris Evans with Blue Ridge Yoga. Kris is an energetic person with a great passion for life and a desire to make a difference. Listen to this, guys. She spent her 20s traveling in the U.S., Canada, Thailand, and Spain, and completed a trans-American Canadian bicycle tour. That's a dream of mine to do. She's done it, and she worked as a guide in the wilderness therapy, sharing her love of life, nature, and yoga with at-risk youth. And I can't wait to share with you her journey, her story on the show today. These experiences have made her appreciate the abundance of the human experience and given her a great passion for empowering others to find and travel their path to healthier and freer lives. Kris Evans, she is a certified Vinyasa Flow Yoga instructor, also a licensed massage therapist, and the community director at Blue Ridge Yoga. She has a passion for helping people feel well and joyful in their body. Kris has been trained in Swedish massage, myofascial integration, structural technique, neuromuscular therapy, and active isolated stretching. Kris was first introduced to yoga through a study of yoga philosophy, which led to her curiosity in the physical practice of yoga. The transformation she has discovered throughout her yoga journey inspired her to share what she has learned. She brings to her practice over 10 years of experience in various styles, having studied and practiced with many different teachers around the world. I'm honored to have her on the show to share with our community her story, her expertise, and the journey that she has been on towards rejuvenated health and active living. Welcome to the show, Kris.
Thank you. I'm so honored to be here. Thanks for having me.
I know just reading through just a snippet of your history, your journey, would love to for you to share with our listeners just how you got interested into health, into fitness, into yoga and massage, and just how that transpired over your life to where you are today.
Oh, that's a long story. I'll try to keep it short. So as a child, I wasn't a very healthy child. I had asthma. I was allergic to everything under the sun, in and out of the hospital every changing of the season. And I still had all of this energy and loved life, and my body wouldn't cooperate. So over the years, I actually learned a little bit about meditation from my mother, the anxiety that would come from, just having the difficulty in breathing and eating a healthy diet, doing the exercise I could, because it really helped me to be stronger. And one day, out of the blue, I discovered yoga, actually through, like you mentioned, philosophy, a book that I could hardly understand. The language was over my head at the time. There were a few pieces of this book, of the philosophy that I was getting, that really interested me and resonated with me. So a few years later, I ended up in a job where I was able to try yoga, and it was amazing. At first, actually, it was a little scary. But
what do you mean by try yoga?
I actually got to do a physical practice,
Okay.
The asana, as we'd call it. Got on the mat in a room with a group of people. It actually made me feel nervous because I was getting a lot of sensation in my body, and I guess a little bit of nausea even from breathing really deeply. Breathing is a very important part of yoga. Breathing is something that I had some anxiety about, obviously, due to the asthma. And I talked to the teacher afterwards, and he told me a little bit about what I might be experiencing. But I kept going because I felt so present, so calm. Every little sound, the crunching of the leaves under my feet when I walked into my house that day, the sound of this little water droplet dripping out of the faucet into my sink, everything was so clear. And I felt light. I didn't feel the anxiety that I felt from some physical activity. It wasn't so vigorous that it made me lose my breath, that I was, I kept going, and I fell in love with it. it brought this new confidence to me, and that I was capable, that I was able to be strong, and it was incredible. And I just kept going with it. And I thought one day I might teach this because it's really changing my life, you know? And at the time it was really purely physical, the change. But yeah, that's kind of how I got into the wellness world. And that was pretty early on. I would think I was about 22 when I started practicing yoga.
Okay. And you said that was in a job you were doing that was associated with yoga, or?
Yeah, I was working at a wellness center here in Knoxville at the time. It's long since closed. It's called Well by Nature. And it was beautiful community of people, yogis, massage therapists, acupuncturists, things like this. And they inspired me big time. I'm sitting here amongst all of these people that have lived all these little lives, and we're helping people. We're really helping people in a way that I hadn't seen in medicine throughout my experience in and out of hospitals, all the medications, all the, I don't know, kind of dead ends, but they were offering alternatives, and that was really exciting and inspiring to me. Kind of led me in this direction.
So Kris, I understand you were introduced to yoga and a participant in yoga class, and what transpired as far as bridging the gap from being a participant into, like, I think I want to start teaching and helping others experience, you know, this same type of environment that you've described that you experienced for yourself.
As you mentioned, I spent a lot of my 20s traveling, and the practice, my yoga practice, sort of led to that. It started giving me an opportunity to go a little deeper, connecting with myself, thinking about, you know, who I really am, essentially, and what I really wanted out of this life, what really mattered. So I started traveling and just sort of seeking out some adventure and the things that I'd always dreamt of doing but didn't really have the confidence to do. And I do attribute a lot of that to my yoga practice because I began to love myself in a way that allowed me to not feel like I had to just live up to everybody else's standards, right? And do what everyone else asked of me. I was like, well, I'm going to spread my wings a little bit, right? So I get out, I start seeing the world. I start meeting these people from all different backgrounds and cultures that lived in a really different way than I did, and also saw a lot of suffering and met a lot of people that were really lonely in life, and even saw some of that in my own family and close friendships, people that were really struggling. And I really wanted to help. I really wanted to make sure that I didn't never leave anyone behind, that no one felt that loneliness. Maybe they one day too could believe in themselves and love themselves enough to stand up and say, hey, this is what I want to do. This is my life. This is going to, be fulfilling for me at the end of the day. And I tried a few different avenues, actually. I worked with the at-risk youth. That was beautiful. And at that time, it was also really challenging. And I went to train to be a yoga teacher, not really thinking I would teach because I got flu-like symptoms anytime I would get in front of a group of people. Mm-hmm. It was really nerve-wracking for me. But I wanted to deepen my own practice and understand it more. I had been practicing mostly on my own. I would study under teachers when they would come about, and I had the money to get into a class or something like that. And sometimes I would work trade at different studios and take classes this way. Meditations and things with different people that would just, open up to me along the way. But I wanted to know more about the practice of yoga. It was a wonderful experience, but it did actually take me another year or two before I started teaching. I did teach some with my kids in the wilderness therapy, and they loved it. They loved it. I thought, this is awesome. And then I went on to teach at a preschool. My my kids loved it. My little ones,
For
like
the
3 and 4
preschool?
years old. Yeah. They would sit there. We had to approach it a little differently, teach them to breathe, teach them to calm their body down. It was so cute.
I think that's great. I have my now 7-year-old daughter. When she was probably 4 or 5, we found the Cosmic Kids. I'm not sure if you can find, I think, on Amazon, but it's a yoga for kids. But that's something that that I know has been helpful for her, like even just to calm herself down, even at a young age. But that's cool to hear how you were teaching the young tykes.
Yeah, I think it's great. It's so much fun. It's the breathing part's great, but for them, they're like, "Ooh, look at this trick! Look at what I could do!" It's awesome.
So you were went to teaching there at the preschool.
I was using it really in every aspect of my life. And then I walked into Blue Ridge. I had just moved back to Knoxville. This was, I think, in November of 2015. Yeah, and there they were, a new studio. I hadn't heard of it. I thought, well, this is close. I'm going to go in there and take a class. I want to just get in the classroom, be around some good people. And I was in love with this place from the start. I actually took a class with Jessica Mishu. She's the founder of Blue Ridge. And I felt amazing walking out of there, so relaxed. And I really needed that because the stress of moving and the stress of a new job and just a few other, personal things that were going on at the time. And I immediately felt welcomed and cared for. And so I kept going. And I had started teaching at a church a couple of times a week, and was, like I said, teaching at the preschool. And then after taking classes at Blue Ridge, one day Jessica approached me. She knew that I had certified to teach and asked if I wanted to sub. And I was like, okay, I'll sub. So I subbed a few classes, and apparently people liked me. And she thought I was had something. So she asked if I wanted a class on the schedule. So that's, approaching 4 years ago now. Yeah,
I've been in a few of your classes and can also vet your skills as a teacher, and have enjoyed your classes too. So
thank you.
Do a great job. So you got introduced. So you mentioned as far as coming back to Knoxville, and then you stepped in the doors at Blue Ridge, and there was something that specifically drew you to Blue Ridge. Can you speak more to that? Like you mentioned, I guess, as far as that you felt welcome.
Yeah, it was amazing because I've been into a lot of studios around the country, mostly around the U.S. And sometimes there's a little bit of a feeling where it's like, yeah, nobody knows who you are. You're a stranger in this place. And, there's just not always a very welcoming attitude. Mm-hmm. And you would think that there would be. Yoga is all about, connection and unity. But anyway, I walked in, and I honestly was like, I don't care. I'm just going to get my mat out, and I'm going to have a nice, peaceful yoga class. And I was really surprised at what I found. People coming together and talking and asking about how their day was. And it wasn't just the people that they knew. They were also reaching out to me, specifically the girls behind the desk. They wanted to know about me. They wanted to know who I was and how I was doing. And that meant a lot. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I've seen time and time again in there. And now I get to be a part of it, and I love it. The community piece is really, really important to all of us. And
that is your role with Blue Ridge. What I think your title is community director, or
community manager. That's what they call me.
Manager. So that's kind of interesting. Like for any type of fitness studio to have a community director. Why is that such an important piece of Blue Ridge Yoga and what you do?
Well, I have to say first and foremost that it is a group effort, not just between myself and the others that work there, but all of our students, everyone that comes into the door adds to that. But it's really important Jessica and I both have talked about this a lot over the years of knowing each other, but we both have traveled quite a bit and seen, the way that different cultures work and the way people live. And one of the things that you see often in the U.S. is that there's a lot of separateness in the way that we live, a focus on individuality, which is great, but also this competitive aspect in life, and of maybe more of a focus sometimes on the material aspects of life. And I get that. We all get that. We're all a part of that. I'm a part of that. But the community is what we're missing. A lot of people are dealing with stress and anxiety and depression. And believe it or not, a lot of the people that I've talked to in our studio that have, allowed themselves to be vulnerable and open up to me, and I'm sure others, about what brought them to yoga, it wasn't to look, good in a swimsuit. Mm-hmm. It was because they were dealing with real life issues, and, like myself, maybe moving to a new town, maybe their kids have grown up and left home, and now they're kind of like, what do I do now? My identity was being their parent. What do I do now? All sorts of things people are struggling with. And that was really what was bringing them through the doors. They're like, I need to find something to help find peace in this. And so why not support each other in that? In the practice of yoga, you gradually begin to feel a sort of transformation, whether or not you set out for that. You get on your mat and you just want to get more flexible. That's great. And that's a big part of it. But you start to build more sensitivity to yourself, and then recognizing your own needs, recognizing that we're connected and that everyone has very similar needs. And compassion grows and empathy grows. And in that compassion, you can move into action by building community, by helping lift others up, and it makes a difference.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It makes a huge difference for everyone involved.
Yeah, just I know I've experienced that just by participating some in Blue Ridge Yoga, and what you described, I'm sure is why people keep coming back, and why you guys are helping so many people, and because of that piece of more than it being an exercise or a flexibility thing. With your role, as far as the whole Blue Ridge Yoga and the community piece, would you say that's a part of like yoga at its core, or like that's the way it's meant to be, or is that kind of how you guys have kind of formed into Blue Ridge Yoga?
Well, I can't speak for everyone. Yoga is such a broad practice with all these different lineages, but for me personally, and I think for those that I get to share this journey with at Blue Ridge, the essence of the practice is love and connection with others. So I believe that is the essence of yoga for me.
Sure.
And one of the many facets of yoga is service. So there's always a need in the community at large, not just our yoga community. So hey, if we have extra time, extra energy, extra resources, like let's try to help others live their best life, And I think that's a very important part of yoga.
Sure. And can imagine, a lot of people may have been introduced to yoga. There's a lot of different avenues to do yoga, like whether on a YouTube clip, right?
Yeah, there's some great teachers out there, really.
But I would imagine, what you're describing is something that's hard to kind of get across or like develop when it's participated in an individualistic way. Like, and that's great to be able to do that, through a YouTube clip, like when maybe that's the season in life, when that's the best you can do.
Or maybe you can just do both. Yeah.
Right.
I am an advocate for practicing at home on your own as well. So you can really go deeper and be with yourself, But and the YouTube.
The community piece is such a huge piece. Like what I find, as I've even interviewed other, successful, practices, like there's a common thread that I really hear is when people can participate in more than something than themselves, and it keeps drawing them back. And so I love hearing that. That's such an integral part of what you guys do, and I'm sure what you're known for. Would love to even hear a little bit more. I know you've talked about how you guys have opportunities for service or giving back. Are there specific examples that you could share on how you guys do that as a yoga group, as a yoga studio?
Well, I'm glad that you brought that up, because we have been looking for ways that we can come together as volunteers, not just fundraising. Mostly we have been putting on yoga events, using yoga itself to raise money for different organizations throughout Knoxville. But personally, we get together, and we've had a few come together and volunteer in different areas. But that's my job, and that's what I'm looking to do in 2020, is to find ways that we can get out into the community as a group and get in there and help where there's a need. It's a little bit more difficult than one would think to bring a whole group in to volunteer. Often they're like, well, we need a few people here, a few people there, but we want to come together as a group to be together like a little powerhouse. So, I'm looking for, and maybe someone would reach out to me for places that we could come in and actually get our hands dirty,
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. So yeah, if anybody's listening here that
We've got
has
some
opportunity, we'll be sure to hang on to the end of the show. We'll share the ways to get in contact with Kris and in the show notes too.
That would be great.
So we're going to take a break to hear a word from our sponsor. And then when we come back, we'll be talking a little bit more specifically about yoga, and if somebody's getting interested in getting started, what that looks like, common questions that people have as far as getting started. We'll answer all those for you.
Stay Healthy Knoxville is sponsored by Simply Physio, a physio clinic that equips and empowers you to live your life to the fullest so that you can enjoy the things you love to do and be the person you are made to be. Simply Physio specializes in helping people get back to a healthy and active lifestyle, living free from pain and medication and avoiding unnecessary surgery. Stay tuned until the end of the episode to receive a special gift from Simply Physio, and enjoy listening to the rest of the episode.
Welcome back to the show, guys. We're going to be talking all things yoga in this second half, more specifics on questions such as, Kris, do you have to be flexible to do yoga?
I get asked that all the time. Someone says, oh, you're a yoga teacher. I want to try, but I can't touch my toes. I think, well, maybe you can. Come try yoga. Mm-hmm. No, absolutely not. You don't have to be flexible to come into a yoga class. That's where hopefully you will begin to gain a little more flexibility. Mm-hmm. Just come as you are.
It's like asking if you have to be strong to lift weights.
Exactly.
Right.
You got to start somewhere.
That's why you start lifting weights, so you can get stronger. The flexibility piece, I was a little surprised myself, because I hadn't participated in any yoga classes until my experience at Blue Ridge Yoga, that it's not all about flexibility.
No. Honestly, the key is the breath, is breathing. that not only helps to bring about that mindfulness, the awareness in your movement, but it's and calming for your nervous system. But linking the movement with your breath brings this meditative quality that's just, it's a beautiful thing. It feels amazing. So you've got the flexibility piece. You've got the strengthening of your diaphragm. You're going to breathe in a much deeper, cleansing way. Also, you can actually build some great strength through yoga and the core specifically.
Sure.
What's the word I'm looking for?
I think that's one of the misconceptions that I hear is, do Pilates to strengthen your core, do yoga to get more flexible. That's probably, just a butchering of, both the two, that there's definitely some crossover.
There is some crossover.
As far as, I was surprised how challenging it was, even strength-wise to participate in yoga classes as well.
Yeah, and stamina. You build stamina. I don't know. There's a lot of beautiful things that come from a yoga practice. But at Blue Ridge, we have several different varieties, styles of classes, different teachers that come from different backgrounds. So you could come into a class that's going to feel more stretchy. You're getting more into the flexibility piece. Some that are going to be more power. You're going to get your sweat on. Some that are more restorative, a lot softer, more meditative. So you can't really say that yoga is just one way. It's going to depend on the teacher, and it depends on you, because truly you should be free on your mat. When you come in, do what feels right for you, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, what might a person new to yoga expect from beginning a yoga practice?
Well, in my own experience and my students and friends that I've talked to, most everybody initially, just within a few classes, starts to feel a little more open, a little more mobile, a little more, I wouldn't say all of a sudden you can go into the splits. I'm not saying that. But you begin to feel more spacious in your body. You can pretty much feel that right away. Just from the movements. I find that a lot of people say that, after a little bit from starting their yoga practice, they get a little more consistent with it. They start to realize how difficult it really is for them to let go. They didn't realize prior to getting on the mat and sort of being prompted and guided into releasing, to letting go, that they were actually holding on so much, shoulders drawn up around the ears, this tension in your body that makes you feel just tight and bound up. And you can get used to that feeling if you live that way day to day.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you actually slow down, start to listen to your body, take some time to let your body speak to you, essentially, what's going on. You think, oh my gosh, my shoulders, I don't know how to let them down away from my ears, So it's like a body awareness that people start to find.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, I've heard a lot of people say they will start to kind of use the breath from yoga, or maybe some little thing that the teacher said in class that kind of resonated with them, that helped them to find a little more peace and calm. They'll start to be a little less reactive in life when things happen that are agitating, like maybe you're in traffic and something would normally just make you want to rah. But then it's like, I'm just going to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to breathe. Maybe hear your teacher saying some little useful tip on how to calm yourself down. And you start to find that you're just incorporating these tools that you can use on your yoga mat in your day-to-day life. So you're able to kind of let things go a little easier,
Sure.
And I think this happens pretty quickly with a consistent yoga practice. It's a cool thing.
Yeah, I see a big link with injuries and pain with body awareness, like you say, just where if I ask somebody to, move one direction and then move the other direction, or right versus left, and which side is, is harder or more restricted, that they can't, it's very obvious, to me, but they can't pick it up. That's that's a key piece of sounds like what you guys work through is becoming more aware of how your body moves.
Absolutely. I mean, what a gift. Like I said, I myself being a kid that I was active, but I spent a lot of time down because I was sick a lot. And I wasn't an athletic person. But through yoga, I actually started to recognize where my body was in space, proprioception. Oh, there I am. Oh, I feel steady. I feel strong. I feel balanced, And then suddenly I could actually play some sports with a little bit of, confidence. Yoga's not like basketball. I always wanted to be a basketball player. I didn't do so well with that. I'm short. But yeah.
Well, what is the importance of inclusivity in yoga in Blue Ridge?
This is so important because kind of coming back to the question of, do I have to be flexible to come into yoga? I have people tell me all the time because I'm always out there advocating for yoga. Even at the grocery store, someone's talking to me. I'm always chatting people up. I'm like, come do yoga. Come on over. You're going to feel great. Oh, I'm too old for that. I've had both my knees replaced. I can't do that. I think, okay, maybe there are some classes that you wouldn't want to do. Mm-hmm. Again, there's a variety of classes. You wouldn't maybe want to go into a power vinyasa class, just after having your hip replaced. A doctor might say, yeah, yoga's a good idea. And it would be, but be specific. Maybe going to a more restorative yoga class would be nice, really slow paced. Like we offer a class at Blue Ridge. It's an align and flow class with our wonderful Danny. She's amazing. Also a physical therapist, but is going to get really specific in the body, how to move safely, and you can still get the benefits of yoga. So we really just want everyone to know that this practice is for everybody. It doesn't matter where you are in your journey in life. We've got students that are 14. We have students that are 97. It just depends on you. So maybe ask a question or two to decide what class is best and come on in, It's for everybody. There's something for everybody.
What would you say is really the benefits of practicing yoga and the meditation part?
This is a wonderful, wonderful piece. Honestly, meditation and the breath is where the magic happens. Because at the end of the day, the natural progression of life is we will at one point not be able to use our physical body in the same way. And we have to be able to let go of that attachment, to just allow ourselves to be where we are and to sort of rest in acceptance and stillness and awareness and meditation. And I'm still learning and growing in this. Mm-hmm. I feel like a baby when it comes to this practice. The more I learn, the more I realize I don't know. But we are so busy in our minds and we complicate things. Life, the shoulders coming up around the ears, that's because of all the tension, probably because of what we're conversating about, or having these conversations in our mind, all the worries, all the stress. And we're finding more and more that stress is this silent killer, Our mind needs rest as much as our body does. And meditation is a way of training ourselves to slow it down, quiet the mind, let it rest, let it be still, to just be with ourselves in a way that can actually be more rejuvenating than a night's sleep. I mean, you think you're still tossing and turning and having all of these crazy dreams while you're sleeping, in meditation. Eventually we just come to stillness and we're able to just be with ourselves, and that's the goal. It is easier said than done.
Right. And that's, it is a huge piece. I was just reading, just earlier this week, there's an article, NPR. They were highlighting a study, I believe it was in JAMA, but looking at opioid use counteracted by meditation, and how a group in the study was trained in the art of meditation and was able to dramatically reduce their dependency and their need for opioids. And actually in the article, NPR was highlighting a lady that lived in Tennessee, specifically on her like triumph out of the depths of an opioid addiction, primarily based off of meditation.
That's just beautiful to me. That is amazing. See, this is the thing, we associate ourselves and identify ourselves with our desires. The desire that drives us. And some of those things are what help us survive. Like I need food, I need sleep, I need water. But we start to look outside of ourselves and be driven by our desires. And our identity is defined by, these needs, these constant driving to reach some, I guess, pleasure, But if you can find that within yourself and it's there, like you can get high on life. Hey, coming back to yourself, recognizing that that isn't who we are. There's so much more. I think meditation, I just can't wait to get deeper in it myself. The more I find myself able to go into, and like I said, I've been practicing meditation in some form since I was a kid, dealing with my anxiety, with the breathing, with the asthma, right? But it's really changed the way that I deal with the hardships in life. I'm grateful I'm not dealing with an opioid addiction at the time, but a lot of people that I know and love have. If we can use that to go against anything that takes our freedoms from us, right? Let's be free ourselves.
And do you guys still offer, I know, I don't know, it was maybe a year ago, like more meditation type classes?
We do have a meditation class on Sundays now with Delene. It's wonderful. She's great. She's been teaching meditation for 30 years now, but that's still going on. And through the holidays, we actually have a free grief meditation going on. I'm not sure on the date for that, but
sure.
So that's another thing that we offer. And, like I said, the restorative classes that we offer are a little more on the meditative side, less movement, more meditation, with supported postures. But anyway, we're always open to see if anyone would like for us to add more meditation to the schedule.
That's, I know that was a piece of my experience, like in the classes, that it was almost in a way of the experience of how the class just almost crescendoed, like as it built, through movement, and there would be some, hard parts of the class, and then kind of the winding down into like the restful, like peaceful laying on the mat and just, being grounded, feeling your breath, and just ending, the class from kind of the peak of like working hard in a certain move, but then to that relaxed state is really a beautiful thing. And if no one's ever experienced something like that, I really encourage you guys to come to a class and to experience what that's all about.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. I think you're speaking of Shavasana, the final resting pose. That's everyone's favorite pose.
It's like I've worked hard, and now I can just enjoy this moment of stillness before I know the day of, we know that stress is coming, and that, life hardships or difficulties, is coming, but to have a moment, where it's just not there, even for a brief period, can do so much good.
Oh, it certainly can. I'm always trying to tell my students when we start class, I'm like, now for the next hour, just let this be your time. All those worries and stressors from the day, just put them to the side, and just enjoy being. It's that simple and that difficult, right?
Well, perfect. Well, wanted to transition here to the last segment of our podcast, Kris, and ask a few questions I ask all my guests. The first one, just to encourage people to explore our surroundings that we have around Knoxville and East Tennessee. Kris, what is something maybe on your bucket list that you would like to do and experience around Knoxville or greater East Tennessee area?
There's so much happening in Knoxville these days. It's awesome. But I will say, and it might be a little bit dangerous, but I really wanted to try out the new scooters downtown. I see people riding around just having a blast, and now it's winter. I'm still going to do it. I really want to get on one of those.
I've been wanting, I was downtown a little over a month ago and with my daughter, and I saw some, and I tried to get the app working. I guess you have to download an app or something, and I kept finding ones that were busted or not working. So I tried. I came close to doing it, but I have not experienced it yet. But that's also something on my bucket list. So we'll see. We'll have to have a competition to see who can get to it first, right?
Maybe maybe we'll both end up at the same time and we can have a race. Wouldn't that be
even
cool?
better? Even better. Enjoying things around Knoxville. What's one of your favorite things to do when you have time around Knoxville? Places to go.
I absolutely love, and I do live in the South Knoxville area, but I love the urban wilderness. There's so many amazing mountain biking trails. I use them also to run my dog. She loves it. But Baker Creek, it's awesome. It's so much fun. Get out there and do some downhill mountain biking.
Nice.
Great community out there too. Everybody, again, coming back to the community piece. It's growing. It's awesome. Everybody's really supportive and friendly. Yeah, get out there.
If you had a night out to enjoy a restaurant, or you just wanted to go and grab a bite to eat, what's one of your favorite spots to go eat?
Well, I don't go out to eat a lot because I typically cook at home, but I live really close to Sono, and I do absolutely love their chicken burrito. So I'll go to Sono quite a bit. It's close to my house, really friendly service, lots of outdoor seating.
Nice.
It's fun. It's a great spot. Yeah.
I have not been there. Usually when guests mention restaurants, I'm kind of the same way. I don't get out to experience them much, but when we do have a chance, we usually go back and listen to the podcast to what was that restaurant that person mentioned? So as listeners yourself, you can do the same thing and experience these places, these awesome eateries that we have around Knoxville. Well, Kris, what would you leave our guests with, the best tip or recommendation for staying healthy?
I would say most definitely find the way that you like to move and keep moving your body. Definitely you want to rest and you want to make sure that you're spending time with the people you love. Less stress when you're with the people you love, right?
No doubt.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much, Kris. It's really enjoyed hearing your story, having you share with our listeners just the benefits of yoga, of community, of breathing, of movement. If somebody was interested in participating and finding out more on what Blue Ridge Yoga has to offer, how can they get in touch with you or find out more information?
Well, you can visit our website. It's yogaknoxvilletennessee.com. That's TN, not spelling out Tennessee.
Okay. That's important.
Yeah, Yoga Knoxville TN. Or if you wanted to get in touch with me, we mentioned earlier in this interview that we were looking for ways we could get involved in the community. I would love to hear from anyone that knows of a need that maybe there's something we could do or collaborate on. My email is communityblueridgeyoga.com. So you can get in touch with me directly that way.
Perfect.
Yeah, I look forward to hearing from you all. So don't be shy.
Nice. Well, is it appropriate to end? I always end with "Stay healthy, Knoxville." Is it appropriate to end with "Namaste"?
Yes.
What does actually "Namaste" mean?
Well, it's sort of like a salutation, it's like a hello, but honoring the divine in me honors the divine in you. Right.
Oh, perfect. Well, namaste. And thank you again for sharing your wealth of knowledge here with our community.
Oh, thanks for having me. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. Not as scary as I thought.
Thank you for tuning in to the Stay Healthy Knoxville podcast, brought to you by Simply Physio. If your pain is preventing you from staying healthy and active, and you'd like to avoid surgery, pain medicine, or just want to get back to doing the things you love in and around Knoxville, we offer both a free ebook and free over-the-phone consultation to help you figure out the root cause of your pain and the next best steps for resolving it. Find our ebooks online at simplypt.com/health-tips. There you will find ebooks for topics such as neck and shoulder pain, lower back and hip pain, knee pain, and TMJ. These quick-to-read reports will provide you with expert tips, tricks, and exercises to help solve your pain from the comfort of your own home. Just visit simplypt.com/health-tips to download your ebook and have it delivered directly to your inbox. We also offer free, no-obligation phone consultations with a doctor of physical therapy to Knoxville area residents. Just call us at 865-351-0615 or visit us at simplypt.com and click the Talk to a PT button on the home page to schedule a call with us. Thanks again for joining us, and we will see you next time on the Stay Healthy Knoxville podcast.